So when hunters or hunting talks about the value that hunting and hunters bring, more often than not, we just have words. We don't have something to point to. Similarly, on the anti-side, the people that are banning hunting, all they have is words. They don't have facts, they don't have science, they don't have any proof. Unfortunately, hunters and hunting are in the same boat. We don't have any proof of what hunting does for wildlife, for people, for their livelihoods, for communities, habitat. There's just no proof. And so internal to Blood Origins, we've got this message, which is prove it. You say hunting is conservation, prove it. You say banning of hunting will lead to a loss of wildlife, prove it. Someone might say, Robbie, you're a pro-hunting advocate. Obviously, you're going to show hunting in the greatest light it possibly can show. This is a completely unbiased look at what's happening here on the ground. There's no bias. We're just showing islands across a gradient that are, one, protected and that are not protected. So I want you to decide. I want you to make the decision as we move through all this footage, speaking to the people right here, right now. No bias. You decide. So this is our one chance today.
So no second chances then?
Is this how today's going?
It's how today's starting.
This may be someone who wouldn't have a plan.
I want you to start by explaining like the three-tier system, right? The 3 tiers of islands, or just maybe explain Kariba a little bit, islands, and then the 3 types of islands we have.
We're on Lake Kariba right now. Lake Kariba is a dam on the Zambezi River, which when it was created was the biggest man-made lake in the world. We are on the upstream end of the lake, so we're approximately 250 kilometers from the dam wall, and we are in an area that is well known for having its network of islands. The islands vary in size, and more importantly, they vary in their land classification, and thus what happens on them varies hugely. The first type of island, or one of the types of island we have, is just an open island. It's considered communal or tribal land. In essence, that land is owned by the community.
So we just got onto the sort of lowest tier island that we have here, right?
100% right, yeah. So this is called Kapiri Kanzovu, and yeah, this is basically an open island, if you will.
Belongs to nobody.
Belongs to no one. In
State
theory,
land, community land.
it's tribal land, yeah.
Okay.
So it's community land in
Yeah.
essence. There's no title, there's no land designation.
Nobody protects it.
Nobody protects it. There's no laws, there's no enforcement of any laws.
Okay.
There's no even general rules of, community rules of law for the country are often not enforced on places like this. So they tend to act as a bit of a hub for illegal activity. So illegal fishing, poaching, and seeing as we're on the border, immigration, customs, all sorts of of issues. And
So-
obviously what comes with that is there's no wildlife here.
Yeah. There's an island right there. Looks like the only tree cover. There's probably a bunch of houses underneath it.
Yeah.
So without us even going there, it's a fair chance there's no wildlife there.
There's a 120% chance there's no wildlife there, I'd say, other than bird life.
And then
basically.
there's a island there, much bigger island.
Yeah.
Looks like there's a bunch of trees. But what 50 houses, 100 houses?
At least 50 houses, probably closer to 100, and same result. There's a bit of bird life on there that obviously comes and goes, and that's about it.
Yeah, the bird life here is phenomenal. We've got a huge
We've got a
colony
big
of
flock of white-winged
white-winged
terns
terns.
and gulls,
What did you just see?
and we saw a collared pratincoll now, which is pretty cool. So there's wildlife in that sense. The other thing to think about here is wildlife, underwater wildlife, which, because these are hubs for illegal fishing, the underwater wildlife here is in bad shape.
It's gone.
So it's gone. I mean, I reckon you'd even be hard pressed even to find minnows and stuff in the shallows here.
Yeah.
So that's also something that we don't always think about is what's happening underwater.
Yeah.
Those islands, some of them are inhabited, some of them are not inhabited. The ones that are not inhabited, because they are not actively managed, they may have some form of wildlife on them, but that's largely limited to birds, a little bit of fish, reptiles, that kind of thing. There are no mammals, so to speak, or large mammals, let's say, on those islands. Then you've got the islands in that same tier that have inhabitants on them, which by law are not supposed to be permanent inhabitants, but functionally they are permanent inhabitants because those laws are not enforced. It's quite an interesting rule. There should only be men out here, because it's supposedly that these islands can be used for fishermen to come out and stay out here and fish and go back. They're supposed to get a permit from council, and they're supposed to only be out here for, I think, a maximum of 14 days.
Okay.
But these are permanent establishments in essence now. There's houses on here, there's women, there's children, there's even livestock on some of them, and these are not going anywhere. And this is where a lot of, as we've said, a lot of the poaching on the neighboring islands, the national park, our islands, that's where
the bird sanctuary is right there.
Yeah.
Sakula,
so
right?
Sakula Island is right there, yeah. So you can see a guy,
Buffalo on that island.
Buffalo on that island, yeah.
Let him come here. Ross.
Oh, square. You speak English, eh?
We try.
You speak perfect English.
This one is Sodom Island.
Oh, Sodom Island, yeah, okay.
Yes, there,
Sodom.
the other side.
Sodom,
Sodom.
yeah.
It's not that side.
What's your name, boss?
Cornelius.
Cornelius Russell. Nice to meet you.
Oh, thank
What's
you.
your name?
Happy.
Nice to meet you, Happy Russell. This is Mr. Robbie.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Happy.
How you doing?
Where are you guys from? Are you Sinazongwe people?
Sinazongwe district, yes.
Wow.
Sure.
Yes.
How long have you been staying here?
To my side, I'm now costing 1 year.
One
Yeah.
year.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Do you have animals on the island?
I know animals on this part.
Only on that one.
Yes.
There's no wildlife there?
And this one, no.
No. What about that one?
Even this one, no.
That one, no wildlife.
Yes, no.
What about that one over there?
Nothing.
Nothing there?
Yes, and then there's the other one, which is near is it Jordan?
Uh-huh.
Yes, that side, yes.
There's
Oh,
wildlife that side?
Yes, they are there. For Jordan has animals because it got some parks that side.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. But
Thank-
nothing here?
Yeah, this one, nothing.
Aziko.
Yes.
Aziko.
Exactly.
Kariba.
Kariba.
My name is Wedso Charles Ungama. I'm a game scout.
Yeah, that's good. I like that a lot. Winston, are there islands behind us here that that, do they have wildlife or do they have no wildlife?
There are very few at the moment.
Why?
The people who are working there, they are very connived.
Oh.
Yeah, they just bring some poachers,
Hey.
they do poaching and go away without caught them.
So nobody protects the other islands?
They are there, but they cannot protecting. But there are some scouts there, but the animals are not there. Why? They have been poaching. Poaching activity is very high at that place there.
Wow. Okay, so we've just got to what is called Ncheti Island, which is classified as a national park. As I said earlier, this is kind of sits in the middle of the gradients that we spoke about. So here we've got a really big piece of land. It's actually the biggest piece of land dedicated to wildlife in this district. However, it does have a presence, which is great. National parks do a lot of good work here. So there is wildlife here. There's a remnants of wildlife, but nowhere near in the numbers that it should be, and nowhere near in the diversity that it should be. So that's kind of where we are on the spectrum. Huh? Yeah. You know that Kayuni? It's not a fish eagle, that one.
It's not a fish.
It's called an osprey.
Was it?
Osprey.
Osprey?
It comes from like America
Okay.
or England or somewhere there.
There's definitely wildlife. There's no doubt there's wildlife here. Bird life, ospreys. Yo,
There is a ton of them.
lots of them right there. Bachelor herd. It's one of your favorites. Skinks on the rock.
The cool thing about these impalas, they'd be original. Fully original impala that were not ever stocked, you know, which is pretty awesome.
We're just going to sit Russell and Hastings down, and
You guys want Hastings in his uniform?
just with jacket on. Yeah.
Can you put your bomba on Hastings? That would be good, thank you, my friend.
Hastings, can you introduce yourself?
My name's Hastings Mambono. I work under National Parks and Wildlife. So our job is to conserve for future use. That's our job.
This is a national park.
This is a national park, yes.
How long have you been on the island?
It's 3 years. 3 years time, sir.
Have you seen wildlife go up or go down in 3 years?
Our wildlife in 3 years is going up. I can see the number of the animals, they're increasing.
They are actively managed by the Zambian National Parks and Wildlife Department. And they are, with their resources that they have available, they are doing very well with it. However, the resources are limited. Even though there is wildlife there, it is at a fraction of the carrying capacity and a fraction of the diversity of what it should be. Those islands should have a much wider range of big game species. So, and they did previously have it. Up until 2010 to 2012, there was leopard there, there was lion there, potentially some eland was still left there then, as well as zebra, whereas now all of those are gone from both of those islands.
This island is very big. So we do patrolling. We are looking for those people who are disturbing our animals.
And where do they come from normally? Where's your biggest poaching problem from? Are they from Zimbabwe or they are Zambians?
Within this island, those are fishermen. Those are people who are giving us problems.
And how are they poaching? Are they using snares, guns, shotguns, dogs? How are they? What's their mechanism for poaching?
According to my experience, so far they are using wire snares.
Okay, so you found all these on here on Cheti, yeah? All of these are from Cheti.
Yeah.
There are some of them are recent, eh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And confirm these ones. Are they doing it with a tree like that?
No,
They just put it on the path.
like a
They leave it open
Yes.
high like that. Okay,
Exactly.
yeah. So these are all antelope
Yes.
snares for kudu,
Kudu,
impala, bushbuck, whatever. And confirm if an animal comes on this, it's finished. Eh?
Yes.
Unless you find it in time. But
Yes.
and do you ever find dead animals on the snares?
Yes.
You do, eh?
Yes.
That poachers have even just left there.
Yes.
But that animal will take a long time to die. Eh? It won't die.
Yes.
This thing doesn't kill fast. It's a long story.
Unless maybe it's getting this some on Mkosi, but on the leg, yeah, it's difficult. Maybe
Weeks.
Week will be just there.
Until dying of hunger or something. Yeah. Okay. What are we going to do with these? Do you want me to destroy them or?
Are these we want to take them
Or
to
you'll
the
take
office?
them to the
Yes,
office,
yeah,
eh?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Square. Well done.
Thank you.
It would be nice if we see eland here one day.
Yes.
Imagine.
Yes.
We'll be happy.
I'll be happy.
And maybe some herds of elephant
Exactly.
and leopard and lion maybe
Exactly.
again.
Yes, I'll be happy.
Imagine to have seen lion on an island on Kariba. Amazing, eh?
Yes.
Hey. Those guys were lucky. Not us, not you and me. We missed those days.
We missed it. But you needed it to come back.
We'll come back.
Yeah.
It will come back, I'm sure.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Thank you, Hastings.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
Sure.
The main reason for the resources being limited is that the islands themselves generate no income at all. So we discussed with one of the employees there today. He's been in his office for a year and no one has come and visited the island. So in fact, we were the first visitors for the year, and we are almost at the end of the year. So that kind of puts it into perspective how little activity is happening there from a business perspective, which means those islands are not self-funding. Their funding is coming from the government, of course, but in that funding is being generated elsewhere, which means that development and management is pretty scarce.
Super short distance between islands that have no wildlife, and then Sakula. This is the entire island of Sakula. That is a bird sanctuary. Has buffalo on it supposedly. Probably a bunch of different variety of game: impala, kudu, warthog. But again, probably in very low densities. Probably gets poached because of sort of humans being right here. I think there's one ranger for this entire island, and he's been here since March. So not much one person can do against, people over here that are probably like, wow, there's a fantastic meat resource there that they can come get. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see if there's wildlife.
How big's the herd of buffalo there?
About 60.
Oh, really?
We're on Sakula,
Sakula Island, yep.
middle of the range.
Middle, yeah, I would say 3/4 of the way up the range.
Better
It's
than
better than
Chetty.
probably better than Chetty.
Okay.
My only reason for saying that is that it has an existing and functioning buffalo population,
Yeah.
which is very difficult to come by.
Yeah.
It's a free-ranging population. It was never stocked. It was never. These are the buffalo that were here when Lake Kariba came up.
Yeah.
And they've been through ups and downs. We're pretty sure at one stage they were down to only 20 or 30 individuals. We now think they're up to 60, more like 60, even as many as 100, 60 to 100. They're very difficult to count. But yeah, it's got kudu, it's got buffalo, a little bit of bushbuck and impala, and some baboons. And here we've just found
Old Duggar Boy truck.
a Duggar Boy truck. So a single old bull truck walking down the beach. which is pretty
That would be pretty cool to see.
pretty amazing to
Huh?
see. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely gets my heart racing now.
Big bull on the edge of Lake Kariba.
Yeah. So the one thing that these islands, these middle tier islands lack is because they're a restricted area, you know, the certain species can move freely between them, like the elephant, of course, but that's it. The buffalo can't move, the kudu can't move, the impala can't move, whatever else happens to be on here can't move.
So what's here is here.
What's here is here. Now, the issue with that is because it's an island and it's a decent sized island, but it's not that big in terms of, you know, the grand scheme of wildlife areas. It's a small area. So
How big do you think this island is?
it's 1,000 hectares.
1,000 hectares.
Yeah. So it needs active management. You know, there's genetic issues potentially with the buffalo. Yeah, if you think of they've been here for 50 years, how much genetic inbreeding there must be.
Sure.
Which could lead to disease. There's potentially need for supplementary feeding at the end of the dry season. There's lots of management issues like that could be improved upon. Should there be more income generated on these islands, income would be available to manage it like that. Whereas they're not; they're simply just left alone.
Yeah, no income.
Which is okay, and it's okay to leave these areas on their own when they're big enough. But in a restricted area, they need management, and the populations of animals here need management.
Yeah.
So restocking with different genetics, not for hunting, but just for disease and genetic diversity is a good thing in any population.
Yeah.
So,
But they don't have the funds to do that.
No, they haven't reintroduced animals here. They've never reintroduced animals here. So that would be one area, one issue with these type of areas.
Yeah.
So how crazy is Robbie?
Yeah.
By April next year, you see this island with the trees on it.
Yeah.
That'll be and then that next tree line.
Yeah.
That'll be the only thing exposed here.
Yeah.
The whole thing will be flooded. All of this will be under. All of these islands will be underwater.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
The bushes survive after the season, just underwater.
The third type or the third tier would be privately owned islands. And there's a couple of these in the area, and this tier is kind of split in two, I think. The first one would be an island that is privately owned, but there's no hunting operation or no tourism operation of any kind on there. And in that case, again, there is an existing population of wildlife. There's a bit of kudu, there's a bit of impala, and there's decent bird life and decent fish life.
Thank you.
What happened, Robbie?
Fucking took my socks off. Fucking socks in the water. Ah! Wet socks for the rest of the day.
Nothing should fall off, but it's very good.
I warn you. Just get me to dry land. Just get me to dry land. Thank you.
That was brilliant.
How did that make you feel, Jack?
Like I've got dry feet.
All right, so we're currently on a private island that's not owned by us. It's pretty adjacent to the area that we look after, though, and we and no one else actively hunts this island. It kind of, because even though it's in the class of private islands, it's not as well looked after as it should be, mainly because it doesn't have an operation on it and it doesn't have an income. So we've just seen on the beach here, there's a single kudu bull track walking down the beach, which is awesome. We've actually just seen an elephant bull on here, so it's fantastic to see that there is animals here, but once again it's at a fraction of what it should be. So there should be, and there was previously on here, there was zebra on here, there was waterbuck on here, there was eland on here, and that's all been poached out. So all that's left on here basically is a bit of kudu, bushbuck, and the odd elephant that passes through. And yeah, that's the story.
But it has the potential to be
It has the potential to be at full carrying capacity with a wide range of species.
If someone was here
Yeah,
dedicating resources
exactly.
to level it up.
Exactly, yeah. The difficult part of that is because it's been lost, the startup cost of that is huge. So reintroduction of species is an enormous cost, and that's where the issue is now.
How much? Is there a figure, roughly? Startup cost would be huge.
What would we
100,000?
say? To reintroduce eland and zebra and waterbuck onto this island would cost a minimum of $100,000. Yeah, and that would be a pretty low number of each species, which would be a start, but it wouldn't mean much.
Yeah.
It would
And
take
it would take a while
it
to
would
get
take
them
a
to
long time to get them.
sustainable population.
Exactly, yeah. To get them to a population that can sustain offtake.
Yeah.
Annual offtake, like what our islands can sustain.
Yeah.
And a constant supply of mature bulls and
Yeah.
things like that, yeah.
So we pulled onto this one private island to film Russell. We're about to do his interview. Had a pretty long morning. It's only 12:30. It feels like, what does it feel like to you? 5 o'clock? It's been a freaking long day already. But we must have hit, how many islands did we hit today? 6 maybe already today. Just beaching, going on, looking for tracks, filming. So yeah, it's been a busy day, a good day. We needed to get this today, so.
Then the last island, the last part of that tier would be the privately owned islands that have an active tourism operation running on it. In this case, it's a hunting operation. So the islands are actively managed for the hunting operation. Species were reintroduced to those islands 20 odd years ago.
The islands on Lake Kariba, Mazi Island and Mashapi. The one island was about 250 hectares, if I remember correctly, and the other one 140 hectares. Those islands had wildlife on them in the past. Unfortunately, the wildlife was poached.
So one of the things that someone's going to say, well, you know, show us all the wildlife. Well, if we spent 3 weeks here, 4 weeks here, we couldn't show you all the wildlife. But what we can do is we can walk almost 200 yards into the bush on an island like this one that's protected for hunting, that has lots of wildlife. And I can show you all the scat, all the poop. I can show you all the tracks. And so if I can show you different places along this line of me walking, here's some poo, here's some tracks, here's some Impala tracks, here's some Kudu tracks. Then you get a sense, you can't be here with it, but you can get a sense of like how many wildlife are just between like here and 200 yards into the bush. Here, this is zebra maybe, and here's old elephant poop. Look at all the shongololos in here. You talked about like biodiversity, right? Life because of animals. Look at that. Here's poo. Here's poo. Poo, poo, poo. More poo. Tracks like crazy. Here, look, here's tracks. So I think one of the things that someone may say to me is like, that's just one animal, or 2 animals, or 3 animals of the same species. Is just, that's impossible, because I'm seeing different tracks, different animals, lots of tracks, and the poos from different species of animals. So if I can't show you all the animals, which I'm trying to, I can at least show you evidence that they're here. And tracks and poo or scat is one way to do it. And we've walked maybe 150 yards, and that's, you know, this island is 2 kilometers long. So
We love, my family and I, my wife, my kids, we all love the bush. We go fishing, and the islands were a destination right close to us there. Beautiful, beautiful islands. And I looked at the habitat on the islands and realized that they had potential for wildlife just as Chetty and Sakula have, which are national parks. The diversity of those islands and the amount of wildlife that survive on them, it's just amazing. I thought it would be great. It would be great to bring wildlife back and have game there, and for hunting purposes as well.
Fresh shit. Yo. It's still sticky. Really fresh. Look how fresh that is. Poof. Smells like poop.
What that hunting operation does on that island is it gives it an income, and it gives it a method that income helps them to protect those islands from poaching, which is what puts it far and away above the other islands in terms of their wildlife, both numbers and diversity. So the island where the hunting operation is, there is all of the species. The only species that's not on the island with the hunting operation is buffalo, and that's for reasons not relating to the hunting operation. And because of the anti-poaching that is happening there, there is better bird life, better fish life, and just overall a better functioning ecosystem. We'll start right at the bottom. Now, well, obviously you've got your birds and your fish and your reptiles, etc. And then in terms of big game, common duiker, sharps, grijsbuck, impala, bushbuck, reedbuck, blue wildebeest, zebra, Tafasa waterbuck, kudu, eland, and I think that's it. I might be missing one, but I'm pretty sure that's it. And warthog.
So yeah, it's after we introduced the wildlife, it wasn't very long, and then the elephant came across from Zimbabwe, Chetty, and they do annually. They migrate and they move to the islands, and they reside on the islands for months. So it's become an ecosystem of its own, really beautiful.
So,
What were you saying about a swim, Robbie, and how it being?
oh my God, it is so hot right now. It's got to be over 100. Sweating. Sorry. No, you're good, man. Flight altitude reached. But look how beautiful this looks. Let's go for a goof. Nice swim. But there's probably 30 crocodiles within 100 meters of us right now. But the breeze feels pretty darn good.
So when we look at the island that has the hunting operation on it, because it's an island, it's a confined area. So while certain species may swim across large water bodies like elephant and hippo, of course, that live in the water, other species like eland and kudu and all the rest of the species that are there will not swim across large water bodies unless it's an unlikely event, let's put it that way. The reason they can't do that is because, first of all, the distances are huge. We're looking at 3 to 4 kilometers between each island, in some cases even more, and there is a large population of very large crocodiles in the lake, and if they do end up swimming, most of them will not make it to the other side. So with the hunting operation, we are harvesting a tiny fraction of the population that's there, and we are only harvesting post-mature bulls, I would say. We are very, very selective in the bulls that we hunt, especially of the sensitive species like eland is a prime one. We are super selective over the eland bulls that we hunt. In doing that, we are not effectively restricting the animal population because we are only harvesting mature bulls that actually have no impact on the breeding of the wildlife. What that entails is that we need to actively we need to get involved and manage those populations, and we do that by catching animals and using them as a seed population in other areas that are being rewilded. We usually do that every 2 years. We do a big game capture, which is logistically, in all honesty, a nightmare, but it's a necessity, and we use that to repopulate areas. And we usually offtake, every 2 years we offtake a large number of impala, normally 100 minimum, normally as much as 200 or 250 impala. We offtake up to 50 kudu, up to 50 eland, and one or two other things if we feel the need by looking at the data that we collect. And it's a huge feather in our cap to know that we can contribute towards other areas, seed populations, and reintroducing diversity into those areas. So simply put, hunting is the only effective way to generate an income, and it's the only effective land use method for these islands in a wildlife sense.
The beauty about where I'm sitting right now is this. I'm sitting on a protected private island that looks after the wildlife, protects the wildlife. There's a bushbuck right there. That island behind me is another protected private island, but there's no outfitter there. So the diversity of animals and the density of animals is much lower than this. Then just move your eyes to the right. That island right there is tribal community land. There is no wildlife there. Robbie, how do you know that there's no wildlife there? Have you been on the island? No, I have not been on the island. We asked the people of the island, do you have wildlife on your island? Emphatically, they said no. Next to it, another island, tribal community land. People live on it. They live on it year-round. No wildlife on it. The next island over is the national park. It's the bird sanctuary, but that's got buffalo on it. It's got elephant. We saw elephant tracks. We saw buffalo tracks this morning. We saw baboon tracks this morning. It's probably got impala. It's probably got kudu. Not at the densities here, but it's got wildlife. It's protected. We've got the whole gamut of the diversity, the gradient of islands, and the gradient from hunting to where hunting is banned. And it is a massive difference when it comes to wildlife. So what do you want? Do you want this, where there is incredible wildlife? Or do you want that island right there, where there's no wildlife? Hunting, a ban of hunting. You tell me.